Big up to my chosen ones. I realize, as well as history, knowledge, etc., I should talk about my experiences day to day because my experiences are worth speaking about because we all go through similar things, and that's what it's about, talking about experiences, linking up. And I wanted to talk about the healthcare system, the NHS in the UK, and how I've been treated recently in general, but more recently. Well, basically, I've had a stabbing 2024 January, and in that stabbing, I was the victim, and I was arrested in a hospital because it was an ongoing case, which is fair, reasonable, but they knew within about 3 days that I wasn't a suspect. Anyway, during my stay, I kept on saying to the doctor, I can't feel my leg because one of the stabbings were in my groins. I kept saying, I can't feel my leg. They didn't get cool. They took me to the police station because it was a case, you know, and I told them the same thing, that they didn't care. So I was left 4 days after the stabbing. I was let out of Lewisham police station, with the grey police station, change of clothing, and I had to make my way home. They kept my phones. I was not allowed to see anybody whilst I was there. So no visitations, no contact, no nothing. I was watched by police 24/7. So cool. I go home. My landlords arrive and say, we couldn't get a hold of you because this was all over the news. We couldn't get a hold of you. And now they're saying, as a result, we have to remove you from the house. I'm thinking, what? So not only did I get attacked here, I'm getting removed from my house. Da 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 da. Alright, cool. So the whole time now, long story short, we're not going to get into everything. We're just going to talk about the NHS and my leg and the situation that occurred there. So nobody was there for me in terms of aftercare, in terms of checkup, even on the mental health aspect of it, nothing was done. I was made homeless for some point in time, and as you can imagine, having that kind of mental grief, trauma, and having to deal with housing, etc., by yourself was a lot, among other things. But yeah, the point is nobody cared, and so as you know, the waiting list for the NHS is long, which is understandable, and there's other people that might need to be seen before me, and I respect that. But it's the way they handled me, and it was like I was seen once, I believe 2005, so about several months, maybe like a year, several months after the injury, I was seen, and they checked on it, and then they sent me on another appointment, which was like 7 months after that. So bearing in mind now, my leg, what has happened is I've lost the feeling, the sensation, nerve damage. So here and here, I can't really feel it. So I have to exercise a lot in order to maintain a feeling. When I walk downhill, it's like my leg length kind of changes. So it's kind of like loose. When I walk up, it's kind of loose, and if I do rigorous activity on it, I have to stretch it, so it's a mess. I can walk and I do normal things, but it's not the same. So they sent me on this next appointment now to see this guy a few months ago. He's like, yeah, listen, this guy, he was all over the place. I don't know where his mind was at, to the point where, when you have a conversation with someone and you're intellectually smart enough to know where you stand in comparison to that person in terms of smarts. I'm looking at this guy like, bro, do you not know, how did you get this job? The way he's talking, the way he's responding, his mannerisms, the way he's approaching the subject, the way he's approaching the situation, his lack of knowledge, everything about it was just horrendous. Alright, cool. So listen to this now, bear in mind, my whole legs hurting this whole time. You know what I'm saying? Like 2 months after the accident, I forgot to mention I was limping. I couldn't stretch it. You know what I'm saying? So so it was bent for like 2 months. Like, I can't explain it to you. I should have stretched. I should have got chemo or something, or physiotherapy or whatever, physiotherapy, so, but like I said, they didn't care. So anyway, now I went to an appointment recently to the same guy, and he's like, "Yo, have you went to seen the neurologist?" I'm like, "No, I haven't seen a neurologist." He says, "Oh, you're supposed to see a neurologist before you see me." I'm like, "So why are you booking an appointment with you then? Before the neurologist? The neurologist appointment was 2 days after that appointment. So that was today. The neurologist appointment was today." So I'm thinking, yo, you got me going all the way to this hospital. Bearing in mind the hospitals are not in the area now because I moved out because I was homeless. But I'm like, bro, you don't know what you're doing. But this is the worst part now. I go to the neurologist today, and it's like this guy was kind of like humorous about my situation. He was doing like underhanded jokes, witty little smart mockery jokes about my situation. You know what I'm saying? Some old white guy, like I'm the guy putting like cables on my leg to check the electricity and that, but the cables are all screwed up and like you know, like a kid has a PlayStation or some cables and he has it in his cupboard and it's all messed up and he's all like fiddling. He's like, "Bro, I'm not sure if we could do anything about that." All of this and that, you know, saying stuff like something should have been done about that earlier, like, you know, like, but in a way where like, you know, he's saying it like he's kind of like enjoying the fact that I didn't get seen to, or like he knows that I didn't get seen to or something. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, bro, and this is not the only time where the NHS has evidently known that I'm suffering and just let me suffer, and now I have to carry this injury for the rest of my life. The same thing happened to my hand. The same thing has happened to my hand. Even when I got stabbed, yeah, they already put on the website on Google 2 men fighting for their life. I wasn't fighting for my life. I bet they wished I was. And the hospital they took me to was miles away. They could have took me somewhere closer. If I was fighting for my life, like they said, why did they miss X amount of hospitals, bro? I was lying in the bed for hours with the wounds. You feel me? They put my handcuff. They handcuffed me. Put my hands above my head, fam. But then I think to myself, yo, like, then this is why, as black people, not just necessarily black people, but minorities as well, chosen ones, soul people who got hearts and souls as well, need to understand that there's something wrong with this system, that they're not taking care of everybody in the way that they need to be taken care of. Some people are being neglected. Understand? Some people are suffering. Like, and not even just in the medical sense, I'm talking about in the mental health. Like, there's an unproportional rate of like certain ethnic groups as opposed to others. And when I look outside in this world, yeah, I see a lot of other groups, yeah, moving very crazy too. Very, very crazy, very unhinged, very unhealthy. Yeah, so I'm considering, why are certain people in these mental hospitals and certain people are not. And you can say this, that, the other, but as far as I'm concerned, I've seen some people in these hospitals and they're wonderful people. So they're among the most kindest, loving, understanding, patient people. And I know exactly why you're taking them in the hospitals. But look, we're not going to get into that in this video. What we're discussing here is the lack of, you know, professionalism, you know, equal rights, bro, human rights, you know. You know, you're seeing certain people are seeking help, medical help, from a system that states everybody's entitled to this, and you're neglecting people. So therefore, your system is a lie. You know, so therefore you're not delivering on your promise. Therefore, you are false. Therefore, something has to change for some of us. If you want to feel safe, you understand? Because as far as I'm concerned, I don't feel safe. I don't feel like these people, this organization has my interests at heart or my people's interests at heart. So I had to let that out there, you know what I'm saying? I just had to start talking about situations that I'm going through, you know. So chosen ones, if you're going through something similar, you know, if you've experienced something where you feel like you've been neglected, where you feel like a duty of care was missing from you, yeah, from your situation, let it be known in the comments, share it below. You know, if you're digging the video, like, share, don't forget, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. And we need to start talking about these situations as people, you know, people as light, people of colour, you know, people of ethnic minorities, you know, because if voices are left unheard, then things will never change. So chosen ones, you know what I'm gonna say. Do me this one favour, stay locked, stay focused, stay grounded, and most importantly, stay